Ebe's heart pounded as she stared at the old man before her. This was not the life she had imagined. The room spun as she heard footsteps approaching. It was Chike, the young lawyer who had become her confidant and secret love. Ebe knew that what she was about to do could destroy everything. Ebe was just 22, beautiful, with a life full of dreams. She had just finished secondary school and had big plans for her future. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ikechukwu, often talked about a better life for the family. But Ebe never imagined what those words would cost her.
Life in their village had always been simple, but her father had fallen into debt, struggling with the pressures of providing for the family. Ebere's mother was a woman who knew the power of wealth. She had watched her friends in the village marry off their daughters to rich men in the city, and it always seemed like an easy solution to financial struggles. When a wealthy businessman from Lagos, Chief Martins, arrived in the village for a visit, Mrs. Ikechukwu saw an opportunity. So she secretly met up with him and discussed about her daughter, Ebere. Chief Martins was old enough to be Ebere's grandfather, a man who had lived through many seasons and built empires in the city. He had lost his wife years ago and was now looking for a young bride to give him an heir. When he set his eyes on Ebere, he knew she was the one. Her innocence, beauty, and youth were what he wanted, and he had the money to make it happen. Ebere, unaware of the plot that was unfolding, thought her parents were just excited about her future. They spoke to her about taking her to the city for a job opportunity, something she had dreamed of. She had no idea that her parents had been negotiating her life away. One evening, after dinner, Ebere's parents sat her down. "Ebby, you know we love you, and we want the best for you," her father began, his voice low and serious. "We have found an opportunity for you, one that will change our family's life forever." Ebere looked at them confused. "What kind of opportunity?" Her mother smiled, holding her hand. "There was a wealthy man from the city, Chief Martins, who has taken an interest in you. He has a job offer for you in the city." "Okay, mother, what type of job?" she asked, smiling. "Housemaid," her mother said. She quickly assured her of receiving some huge amounts of money as salary, which will help them come out of poverty. So, after she was able to convince her, Ebere accepted the offer. When Ebere arrived in Lagos, she was overwhelmed by the city's noise and chaos. Chief Martin's mansion was enormous, an extreme contrast to her family's humble home. She was greeted by the chief himself, an old man with graying hair and a stern demeanor. Ebere was shown to her room and given her duties, which seemed simple enough. A 22-year-old girl from Imo State sat on a wooden stool in the kitchen, washing plates with trembling hands. Her heart had not known rest since she arrived in Lagos 2 weeks ago.
She had come to Lagos and was given a warm welcome by Chief Martins, a 62-year-old man from her village. But things started to feel strange the moment she arrived in Lagos. The house was not filled with children as she expected, nor was there any other woman. Just her, Chief Martins, and the silence. The house was clean too. On her second night, Chief Martins knocked gently on her door. "My daughter, I hope you are settling in well. Tomorrow I shall take you out for shopping, okay?" "For the children?" she asked. He laughed awkwardly. "No, for you. You can't be wearing village clothes here. You're in the city now." She nodded slowly. It was odd, but she said nothing. He started doing more things. He asked her to sit with him to eat, told her to stop calling him sir, and instead say darling. When she refused, he laughed it off but kept calling her my wife when they were alone. One evening, he brought home a beautiful designer gown. "You will look beautiful in this," he said. "I don't understand. Why should a maid wear this kind of clothes?" "You are not just a maid," he said softly. "You're special." She dropped the cloth on the table and walked away. Days turned to weeks, and the signs became clearer. He locked the door at night and kept the keys. Sometimes he would sneak into her room and stared at her beautiful face and figure and would say to himself, "I can't wait to touch and have her all to myself." But how should I explain all of this to her? This is more difficult than I thought. He no longer asked her to clean much. Instead, he bought her perfume, body cream, and even a big phone. But the more he did these things, the more confused and scared she became. Then one Sunday afternoon, everything broke open. She was cleaning the drawer in the sitting room when she saw a file. It was partly open and curiosity got the better of her. She flipped through the papers and saw something that made her blood run cold. It was a marriage certificate. Her name was there, Ebere Martins. She froze. The date was 1 week before she left the village. Her parents had signed. So had he. She ran to her room and locked the door. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her hands shook as she picked up the phone. She called her mother. "Mama, what is this? You people gave me to that old man. I saw the paper. Marriage paper." Her mother sighed deeply. "My daughter, your father said he's a good man. He said he will take care of you and us. Look at your life now. You're in Lagos. You will not suffer." Ebere screamed and threw the phone on the bed. Later that night, Chief came to her room again. This time, she opened the door with fire in her eyes. "You lied to me," she said quietly. He stepped back. "You told me I was coming here to work, but you brought me as your wife." He tried to speak, but she raised her hand. "I am not your wife. I never agreed. You and my parents made that decision, but I rejected now." Tears welled up in his eyes. "Ebere, all I wanted was to give you a better life. I knew if I asked you directly, you would say no. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did." She packed her small bag that night. The streets of Lagos were cold and dangerous, but not as dangerous as staying one more day in that house. She left with her head high and her heart broken. The next morning, she called a friend she met during her short stay. That her friend helped her find a church shelter for young women. It wasn't perfect, but it was a new start. Ebere spent 2 weeks at the shelter, surrounded by women who had seen all kinds of pain. Some were younger, some older, but they all had stories that could make the strongest heart shake. For the first time, she had people to talk to cry with, and to pray with. Yet, her heart remained heavy, especially when her phone rang one quiet morning and it was her mother. Her hand trembled as she picked it up. "Ebere," her mother said, her voice cracked with sorrow. "Your father has been sick. The drugs are expensive. We are owing over 200,000 naira. And you know your father was in debt before. Where do we go from here?" Ebere was silent. She had been angry, deeply angry, but the love for her family never left. "We didn't mean to deceive you," her mother continued. "We were desperate. Chief Martin said he would help us if we gave him your hand. We thought we were securing your future. Forgive us, my daughter." Tears rolled down Ebere's face. She didn't know whether to shout or weep. Instead, she dropped the phone and stared at the wall for a long time. That evening, she sat with Mama Uduka, one of the counselors at the shelter. "Are you sure going back is what you want?" the woman asked gently. "No," Ebere whispered. "It's not what I want, but my family, they are suffering. If I stay here, they suffer more. If I go back, at least I can help." The next day, she returned to Chief Martin's house. He was shocked to see her at the door, her small bag in her hand, her eyes tired but dry. "You came back?" he said softly. "I didn't come back because I love you," she said. "I came back because my parents are suffering. I will stay, but not as your wife, but as someone you bought." He nodded slowly. "I understand. I will not force you to love me, but I promise to do right by you. I'll take care of your family, and I'll never hide anything from you again." And he did keep his promise. He paid off her father's debts, demolished their old mud house, and built a beautiful house for them in the village, and sent monthly money for food and medicine. In return, Ebere stayed. But she kept a part of herself locked up. She cooked, cleaned, and spoke to him respectfully, but with distance. Days turned into weeks, and Ebere dutifully performed her tasks. Resigned to her fate, Ebere decided to make the best of her situation. She immersed herself in her new role, learning to manage the household and assist with Chief Martin's affairs. Despite the initial deceit, Chief treated her kindly, providing for her every need. At first, Ebere thought she could love him. The luxurious lifestyle he offered was something she had never imagined. Trips to Dubai, Paris, and London, designer clothes, a mansion in Ikoyi. But after a few months, she realized something was missing. She felt trapped in a golden cage. Her husband, though generous, was old, and there was no real connection between them. He treated her like a trophy. One day, Chief Martin introduced her to Chika, a young, ambitious lawyer who handled his legal matters. Chika was charming, intelligent, and closer to Ebere's Mej. They quickly became friends. Chika was a smooth talker, the type of lawyer who could charm anyone into trusting him. At just 32, he was the rising star at a prestigious law firm in Lagos. But beneath his success was a burning ambition, one that pushed him to do whatever it took to reach the top, even if it meant stepping on the lives of others.
It was during one of his routine visits to his wealthy client, Chief Martin, that Chika's plan began to take shape. Chief Martin, an aging businessman, was in his 70s and married to a much younger woman. Though Martin provided for her lavishly, their marriage lacked the spark that she had once hoped for. It was childless and lonely, leaving Ebere vulnerable and unsatisfied. Chika noticed the tension between them, the way Ebere avoided eye contact with her husband, and how Chief complained about his weakening health. Chika saw an opportunity, a way to seize Martin's wealth by using Ebere's frustrations to his advantage. One rainy afternoon, after discussing some business affairs with Chief Martin, Chika approached Ebere. He pretended to be concerned about her, sensing her unhappiness. At first, she was hesitant, but his constant attention and seemingly genuine care eventually broke down her defenses. "You deserve more, Ebere," Chika told her one evening over dinner at an expensive restaurant in Victoria Island. "Chief doesn't know how to treat you. You're young, beautiful, and full of life. You should be living, not just surviving." Ebere, starved for attention and love, was drawn in by his words. She felt seen and desired for the first time in years. Chika made her believe that they could build a future together, one filled with passion, love, and most importantly, children. "Chief will never give you the family you want," Chika whispered, leaning closer. "But I can. We can have it all. Wealth, love, and a child. All you have to do is trust me." At first, Ebere resisted. She knew it was wrong to betray her husband. But as the days passed, her loneliness grew, and so did her connection with Chika. He convinced her that Chief Martin's days were numbered, and that it was only a matter of time before he passed away. He suggested that they could speed up the process and ensure that everything, the estate, the properties, the bank accounts, fell into their hands. The plan was simple but chilling. They would secretly start an affair, and Chika would father a child with Ebere. Once she became pregnant, they would slowly poison Chief Martin, making it look like a natural death due to old age. With no one left to challenge them, Chika would help Ebere inherit everything, and they would live happily ever after. At night, as Chief Martin slept soundly in his mansion in Ikoyi, Chika and Ebere would meet in secret. Their affair blossomed under the cover of darkness, and within a few months, Ebere discovered she was pregnant. Everything seemed to be falling into place. The final step was to eliminate Chief Martin. But things began to unravel when Chika became too eager. His obsession with wealth and power clouded his judgment. He grew impatient, pushing Ebere to poison Chief faster than she felt comfortable. One fateful night, Chika handed Ebere a small vial. He said, "This will make it look like a heart attack. Just slip it into his tea. By morning, we'll be free." Ebere's hands shook as she prepared the tea in the kitchen. She stared at the vial, her heart pounding. Could she really do this? As she walked into the bedroom, she saw Chief Martin lying down, peaceful and unaware of the danger that lurked so close. Her guilt washed over her like a flood, and for the first time,
She hesitated. Is this really what I want? Should I do it or should I not? She thought. But Chike's voice echoed in her head. We can have it all. With a deep breath, she handed Chief the tea. But fate had other plans. As Chief Martin took a sip, he suddenly stopped. His eyes widened in shock, not from the poison, but from the deep pain in his chest. He gasped for air, clutching his heart. Ebere froze, unsure of what was happening. In a panic, she screamed for help, but it was too late. Chief Martin collapsed, his breath escaping him for the last time.
In the chaos that followed, Chike rushed to the house, prepared to make sure everything went according to plan. But just as he arrived, the door burst open and police officers stormed in. It turned out that Chief Martin, despite his failing health, had grown suspicious of his young wife and her newfound closeness with Chike. He had hired a private investigator who had been following them for weeks, recording every secret meeting and phone calls. The police had all the evidence they needed. Chike's plot was exposed in gruesome detail. How he had manipulated Ebere into betraying her husband, how he had fathered a child in secret, and how he had planned to murder Chief for his wealth. Ebere collapsed in tears as she was handcuffed, realizing the depth of her mistakes. Chike, too, was arrested, his dreams of wealth and power crumbling around him. In the end, both were sentenced to prison for conspiracy, murder, and fraud. The child that Chike had hoped would secure his fortune was born in shame, and the wealth he craved so much for was out of his reach forever. As Chike sat in his cell, he realized too late that his greed had destroyed everything. What started as a brilliant plan ended in disaster, a disaster that would haunt him for the rest of his life.
Thanks so much, beautiful people, for watching this video. Please give the video a massive thumbs up and subscribe for more interesting stories like this, okay? Till next time, bye-bye.